So a really common scenario that happens in the clinic is that people have been told that as long as they're doing weight-bearing exercise, they're doing everything they can in the exercise space for their bone health. So this might mean that someone says, oh, I go walking and I try to like intentionally take heavy footfalls and therefore I'm doing like everything I can. And so, can I do a type of exercise to help my bone density? Tick, I'm doing it. Over. And it's super nuanced. So the reality is that yes, like walking is beneficial for your bones because any load bearing is going to be beneficial because your bones respond to the loads placed upon them. So obviously walking is more load on your skeleton than not walking, but it's not a lot of load. So your bones adapt by muscles contracting and pulling on the bone and causing a degree of strain on the bone. And then your bones sort of respond to that strain. And they might respond by laying down new bone cells. They're more than the ones that were sort of cleared away because they're in a constant state of remodeling. And I suppose an issue is that the problem with trying to generalize advice in this sort of thing, where I've never met the person I'm giving the advice to, is that everyone is completely different. And so you might be someone who never does any weight-bearing exercise whatsoever. So for you, if you go from doing no exercise to taking up walking, you might have a build in your bone density or a slowing down of your bone loss because you've changed what you're doing and you've done a new sort of loading on the bone. For someone else who's already walking, doing yoga, doing Pilates, doing heaps of stuff, they might need to do something bigger, something newer, something causing a larger strain on their bone to have an effect. So it's really important to just bear that in mind, that everyone is different. You can't generalize a piece of advice like walking doesn't build bone. You can't sort of generalize that because for someone it might, if it's new for them. But I think it's important to think of it more generally and think of it as a bit of like a spectrum of things that are sort of more likely to help bone loss, mitigate bone loss, or help encourage new bone density, where things that are non-weight bearing are very unlikely to have an effect. Things that are weight bearing but sort of quite obviously light in nature, like walking, might have some effect, but you're going to get increasing effect on the bone with the sort of heavier, harder forms of exercise that I will talk about in another video.